Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be another 24-hour timer challenge vlog because I do like to gamify my reading a little bit. And my goal is going to be to finish off my November TBR and hopefully finish off a couple books that I just need to read before the end of the year. So that's what you're gonna see. Let's talk about the 3 books that I have physically, and then I'll talk about the other books. So I do need to complete my November TBR, as I mentioned. The first book from that TBR is I'm Still Here by Austin Channing Brown. This one will also fulfill a Goodreads seasonal challenge for memorable memoirs. So that is why I chose it for the nonfiction prompt from my game board. Then I also need to read Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This one will complete the Goodreads seasonal challenge for Spine Tingler and works for the prompt small book. It has about 220 pages, so I'm hoping this will be a quick read. And then finally, the one that will complete the Goodreads seasonal challenge for Native Voices is going to be Moon of the Turning Leaves by Waubgeshig Rice. Now, I read Moon of the Crusted Snow earlier this year. Enjoyed that one quite a lot. This is the sequel. It is a duology, so this will also complete a series, and I do have a goal to complete 12 series this year. I don't think I'm gonna quite get there, but this will of course help a little bit. So those are the 3 that I do have physically right here. I also need to read Futility by Nuzu Ono. This is the Literally Dead book club pick for November and is also part of my November TBR. So those, not this one, but these 2 and Futility are on my November TBR. This one I just want to read to complete the series and to get the Goodreads seasonal challenge. But if I can complete all of those and I still have time to read, I am also hoping to squeeze in a few Nancy Drew books, but obviously we're gonna have to see how it goes. These 2 books are obviously quite short. The audio for this one is only like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that at the speed that I listen to, so this should be a very quick read. This one only, again, has 220 pages, so it should also be a decently quick read. I do not have the audio for that one. I will be reading that one physically. And then the audio for this one I think is like 6 hours, maybe? I can't quite remember. So hopefully, obviously, I will be able to get through all of these. Futility I have to listen to on audio. I don't have a physical copy of that. I think that was just under 6 hours when I calculated out the speed that I typically listen to it at. So I should have time for those 4 books and hopefully a few others. But we're gonna have to play it by ear, see how it goes. This will be my 3rd or 4th 24-hour timer challenge vlog. I will link all the rest of them down below. I did my first one at the end of 2024, had a good time with it, so we've carried it over into 2025. It's a nice way to kind of gamify my reading a little bit and add a sense of urgency to things, because otherwise I have a tendency to kind of put things off, and we are down to the last like 6 weeks of the year, so I don't have much more time to put books off. So anyway, that's kind of just a little intro. That's what you're gonna see in this vlog. I will be setting the stopwatch feature at 0 and running it to 24 hours, and I will do check-ins throughout. That's how I typically do these. I will give you reviews on books as I finish them, and hopefully this will be a good 24 hours of reading. I am filming this over the course of 5 days, so hopefully I can get all 24 hours done in those 5 days, because I do have a vlog that I need to start filming next week. So I don't have a lot of time to like fool around with things, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and get reading. All right, all, it's time for my first timer check-in. So here is where we are. I'm almost at 3 hours. I have finished a book. So I did finish reading I'm Still Here by Austin Channing Brown yesterday, and I'm giving this 5 stars. I really liked the way that this was written. It's very accessible. She doesn't pull any punches when she's telling the truth about how it is to live as a Black woman specifically in America. She focuses a lot on the religious space because she is very religious and she works in the church. So her point of view is kind of coming from that side of things, but I found that very interesting, even though I myself am not religious. I did find it interesting to kind of hear her state some of the issues that are still prevalent in the church, particularly white churches, predominantly white churches, which is kind of where she has spent a lot of her time working. So I found that very interesting. I did tab quite a bit. There was a lot of quotes that kind of stood out to me, some things that made me kind of make a connection to things that are happening even currently. This book was published in 2018. And not a whole lot has changed, and in some cases has gotten worse. So there was one little line that I am going to just kind of mention. So she put, "History is still on repeat." I made a little note of that quote about those who do not learn from history or the past are destined to repeat it. It just kind of struck me that we're still very much dealing with some of the same things that the United States has been dealing with for years. And especially in like the last 8 to 9 years when we had Trump win his first presidency and then his re-election, things have just gotten progressively worse in a lot of cases. So this was very poignant. It is hard hitting. I really, really enjoyed it, but do keep in mind that it does mention faith quite a bit. So if that's something you don't like, just know going in, she definitely talks about her faith and the church quite a bit in this book. So 5 stars for this one. This is the first book that is complete, and that means I now have 2 books from my November TBR that I need to read. I also have been listening to Moon of the Turning Leaves. I had started this prior to this vlog, but I listened for about 30-ish more minutes, give or take, and I'm currently on chapter 10, which is page 122. So I'm gonna kind of just poke at this one as I get ready throughout the day, listen to the audio and things like that, because this is not on my November TBR, but I do want to get it done in this vlog. So 1 book done. 1 book making progress. Right now, I am getting ready to head over to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. I am bringing the kittens with me, so I need to get them packed up, and we're gonna head out. But I am bringing a book, so hopefully I can get a little bit of reading done over there as well. I will be starting on Our Wives Under the Sea, so that will be the next book that I give you an update on, and hopefully it's gonna be a good one. I've heard good things. We'll see how it goes. right, all, let's do a timer check-in. So I am at 7 hours and 39 minutes. Last night I did finish reading Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This was for the Goodreads Seasonal Challenge of Spine Tingler, and it was also on my November TBR. And I really, really liked this one. This is the second book this month that I have read that ends with questions not being answered, but I found that I actually didn't mind it. So the first one was I Who Have Never Known Men, which I read for my buzzword for November, and it is another book where you get no answers. This one is very similar to that in that we don't really fully get an explanation or any explanation of what exactly happened to one of the characters. So let me go ahead and just chat about this one a little bit. So we are following Miri and Leah. They are married. Leah is a marine biologist who goes on a deep sea submarine dive and something goes wrong. So her point of view chapters are all talking about what happened with the dive. And then Miri's chapters are kind of detailing their life together, but also Miri's childhood and things like that. So we are getting most of the bulk of what happened, quote unquote, from Leah's perspective, but Leah and her crewmates are lost for much longer than they were supposed to be on this dive. And when she does finally come back, she comes back wrong, for lack of a better word. So we don't get an explanation of exactly what happened on this dive. We don't get an explanation of what was happening to Leah once she returned. And we don't get any answers about the company or whatever that she's working for, which they refer to as the center. There's just a lot of things that we don't get answered. So if that's going to bother you, I would not recommend this book. This does lean pretty heavily into the horror realm. We have some body horror things going on, some psychological horror. So again, keep that in mind. But for me, I just really liked the way that this was written. It takes a lot for me to read a book physically these days. I rely heavily on audiobooks to get through the bulk of my books, but I read this one completely physically and I really liked the writing. I felt like it was engaging. It kept me engrossed in what was going on, even when I had a bunch of questions that weren't really getting answered. I liked the way that this was written. I think Julia Armfield has a very interesting way of writing her stories, and I just really liked this one. So I'm actually giving this one 5 stars, and I'm really, really glad that I finally got this read. This is one that Kayla over at Books and Lala read a couple years ago and really, really enjoyed, so it had been on my radar since then. I just wasn't sure if it would necessarily be for me, but I did really, really like this one, obviously 5 stars. So I do recommend it, but with a caveat that it's definitely not going to be for everyone. And I feel like a lot of people who have read it more recently have not really liked it. So it definitely needs to find its audience or its niche, if you will, but it worked for me. So maybe literary type books are something that actually will be enjoyable for me, because I, again, had this one. I would say this is literary horror. And then I Who Have Never Known Men, which was also literary fiction. So maybe that's a genre that actually works for me. Who knew? But yes, this one is done. I have also started listening to Futility by Nuzu Ono. This is the Literally Dead book club pick for November. The live show is actually tomorrow, so I am going to try to get this book done. Now, I am listening to this one solely on audio. My library did not have a copy of this anywhere in their system, so I did purchase the audiobook on Audible, and I'm going to go ahead and read you the synopsis for this one. This one is interesting so far. I've listened to about an hour of it at this point, and I honestly don't know what the heck is even happening. But let me just pull up the synopsis and we'll go ahead and read it. It says, "This is a monstrous, gleeful, bitingly funny tale of murder, body swapping, and bloody vengeance." Okay, which kind of starts off right with like the first sentence of the book. But anyway, it says, "Chia runs one of the best restaurants in Abuja, Nigeria, and is renowned among the male clientele for her captivating beauty. She is every man's dream woman and delicious hot pepper soup. But her hot pepper soup has a secret ingredient, and her beauty is not what it seems." Okay, so that's the first POV. Then it says, "Claire is a 50-year-old British woman living in Abuja with her young Nigerian boyfriend and his beautiful cousin Sade. Consumed by jealousy and resentment and blinded to the poisonous tendencies of her beloved son, after a night out at Chia's infamous restaurant, Claire's carefully organized life spirals into chaos. Both women seethe with rage and bitterness, and when a trickster spirit offers them revenge on those who have wronged them, they cannot resist. Crackling with wit, this is a blood-soaked, expletive-laden, vengeance-filled horror story, satirical, twisty, and murderous. This is bloody, deadly fun from a writer at the top of her game." So, honestly, I'm not sure what to think about this one so far. Obviously, I have only read 5. I think I'm in chapter 5. I think I just finished chapter 5. So, I've only read 5 chapters of it. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, it has a very low rating on Goodreads. It has a 3.22 rating, and I can fully understand why that is, because it's just odd. so far. So we have gotten 3 POVs at this point. One of them's not even mentioned in the synopsis, which is interesting. It's a 16-year-old boy, I think, who lives on his father's compound. So I can't remember his name because again, I'm listening on audio, so it's like not sticking with me super well. But we have his point of view as well, which wasn't mentioned in the summary. So I'm just very curious to see how his POV is going to kind of come into this. Obviously, the summary tells us how Claire and Chia's like lives are going to intersect, but I'm very curious to see where this third POV is coming from and if anything else extra happens. But yeah, it's it's very interesting, like right out the gate. So that's all I'll say about that one. I will give you an update on that one when I'm like 50% of the way through. My goal is to finish it today so that I can participate in the live show tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely an interesting start to that book. So I will give you further thoughts if and when I have them, because at this point I don't even really know what to say about that one. It's just bizarre. So all right, that's my update. I now need to film my December TBR, so I'm going to take care of that, and then I will get back into reading Futility and see what else I might be able to get up to and bring you along with today. Side note, it did snow for the first time this season, so that was very nice. It was a very heavy snow initially. It's dropped probably 4 or 5 inches, I think. So it's expected that all of it's going to melt away because we are supposed to be getting some rain. Now, if the temperature drops, that could freeze, but we'll kind of see how that goes. But yes, very pretty, gentle snowfall this morning. It was very nice to look at when I got up to feed my kittens their first breakfast. So yes, anyway, that is a little side note. Let me go ahead and film that video and then we'll get back to reading.
Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Futility by Nuzo Ono, narrated by Dele Ogunlira.
Hello all, it is Monday. I did finish reading Futility last night, and honestly, I don't know what to say about this book. I didn't like the vast majority of the story. I did not like the characters. I didn't like the ending, but there was still something very compelling and compulsively readable about it. So I did finish the whole thing kind of in one go yesterday. I took a break like in the middle to do a couple things around the house, but then I just blew through the rest of it. I'm giving it 2 stars. I don't generally rate books 1 star. If it's going to be a 1 star, I just don't finish it. So I guess we can say that for it. Since I started reading it, the rating of this one has actually dropped even more. I think it's now like a 3.2 or something. Let me look it up again. No, it's actually a 3.13. So it's dropped significantly since I started this book, which is just funny. Probably because people who read it for the Literally Dead book club have put their ratings in now, and the vast majority of people in the live show did not enjoy this book. So I'll just read you what I wrote, a very quick review. So I wrote, I don't even know what to say about this book. There was so much I did not enjoy, and yet I found it compelling enough to essentially listen to the entire book in a single day. I hated both of our main characters, Claire and Chia, and while that was no doubt the point, it made it hard for me to truly connect with this story. And that's leaving out all of the body horror, gore, and horrendous behavior present in its pages. This book had a great premise, but bad execution. I don't know if I'd read from this author again if this is her norm. Now, saying that, there are some people in the reviews, I think, who said that this is not her norm, that they have read from her before and liked it better than this one, but I don't know. This just wasn't really my brand of horror. It was a little slapstick, a little goofy, and she showed that the characters were bad people by having them say and think like really horrendous things. So there was a lot of like fat phobia. There was some dead naming of some trans characters on behalf of Claire, who was by far the worst of the 2 main characters. We had a lot of just horrendous commentary towards other women in general, and I just did not have a good time with the characters. like I said, the idea behind this book was better than her execution of the story. So Claire and Chia come together and meet because Claire eats at a restaurant that Chia owns. We find out as the story goes through that Chia is sacrificing men to this entity, and in exchange, she is getting things in return. So this whole thing is she is trying to find like the perfect man to feed to this entity, one that the entity actually really wants. And so she's like sacrificing all of these men. She then uses the body parts of the men. Okay, can you get what I'm laying down? In her famous hot pepper soup. So that's like the setup. That's why the cover has this soup on the front. But yeah, like I said, the idea of it is decent. I did not like the execution, but I'm going to give it 2 stars because again, I don't give 1 stars, and there was still something about it that made me want to continue it, even though I thought at like the halfway point, like, why am I reading this? But it really wasn't any big deal to just continue listening to the audio. Would I recommend it? No. So there you go. That's my little summary of Futility. That did, however, finish my November TBR. And because it is already Monday and I need to start filming another vlog, I am actually going to stop this vlog here. So here is the timer check-in. I listened and read for 12 hours and 40 minutes, and I finished my November TBR, which was ultimately the main goal of this challenge. I also did get like halfway through Moon of the Turning Leaves. I am hoping I can finish this today while I am at work, listening on my plan time and my lunch and things like that. So I'm not going to talk about this one after this point because I'm going to end this vlog here. So even though I did not go a full 24 hours, I still accomplished what I needed to accomplish in terms of my November TBR, and I'm just going to cut my losses. I did not get nearly as much read as I was hoping to, but I spent essentially 2 days of my Thanksgiving break with a really bad headache because of the weather changes. I am very susceptible to like barometric pressure changes, and we had a lot of crazy weather. We're supposed to get more of it today. So yeah, we're just gonna cut this vlog off here and move on to something else. The next vlog you see for me is going to be my December buzzword vlog, where I'm hoping I will have some good reads there. Overall, this was a pretty good reading vlog. Aside from Futility, I had 2 5-star books. I cannot complain about that at all. And Futility caps off my best reading month, I think, ever. I read a total of 17 books this month, which is insane. So I cannot complain at all about my reading, even if I didn't get everything read I was hoping to. So anyway, that's gonna do it. We're gonna go ahead and close out this vlog. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of this video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave me an eyeball emoji in honor of the cover of Futility. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.